Hello, and welcome to the CX Fanatics podcast, the show that helps coaches, consultants, and speakers increase revenue, referrals, and retention through exceptional customer experience. Tune in weekly for insights, interviews, and inspiration that will not only catapult your profits, but also your growth. I'm your host, Elisa Connor. Let's get into the show. Hello, and welcome to the show. This week, we are diving into why cold reach out is dead, in case you hadn't noticed or you don't know, and what to do instead. So if you're trying to grow your business and you have done a lot of one-to-one connection with people to get sales, either through referrals or through just meeting people out in the world, and that is how you've grown your business, then this episode is going to be for you. Because if you're a coach or consultant and you are doing business that way, you really need to think about creating a lead magnet that's irresistible to not only take back your time, but help you scale your business. So this week we're diving into all of those cold reach outs that every one of us gets that just makes us cringe. Yet a lot of times we think, okay, well, everybody's doing it. Maybe that's what we need to do. Instead, I want to encourage you to invest some time and energy into creating an irresistible lead magnet that is going to attract your ideal clients, start to build rapport and trust with them, and ultimately get them to buy. Now, does that mean this is a one and done, super fast, this is going to happen, boom, boom, boom? No. I want to be straight up front with you and say email marketing is not a get rich quick scheme. It's just not. In fact, any good marketing is not a get rich quick scheme. So if that's in your mind, go ahead and take that out, set it aside, and know that anything that is worth your effort, that is actually going to turn into customers, is going to take time. So does that mean it has to take hours and hours and years, years or months or eons? No, it doesn't. But in this episode, we're going to dive into 1, why cold outreach is not working. 2, why lead magnets in general don't work. 3, what it's costing you in your business to do one-on-one sales calls all the time and lead generation the slow way. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the biggest mistakes that I see people make with their lead magnets and what to do instead. So this is a jam-packed episode. We have tons to cover, so let's dive right into it. First of all, first impressions really do matter. They count. Whether you're going on a first date or you are trying to get in front of people that you want to buy from you. It's true. If your grandma told you that, your mom told you that, whoever told you that, they were right. First impressions do matter, whether we want to believe it or not. People are going to create a judgment about you. You don't have any control over that. People are going to think what they want to think, and we have to do the best we can to put our best foot forward. So let's talk about cold outreach. Now, I'm sure if you were to go and open up your email or your messenger on LinkedIn or Instagram is another one. I'm not on Instagram anymore, but just constant barraging of people that want to try and sell you their services. They don't want to get to know you. They just want to sell you something. So pause this for a minute, pull up your email and see how many spam emails you have in there that you never signed up for. And how does that make you feel? So when we're thinking about cold outreach, there's many reasons this doesn't work. The biggest one is people are busy and they don't have time to answer phone calls, answer texts, answer emails that they didn't initiate or have, do any reach out to have those people connect with them. So if you're doing that, what makes you think that they're going to make time for you? They're not. That's the reality. That's why it's not working. So people are constantly being bombarded with ads, with instant messages, with emails, with text messages, you name it. And a lot of those are not things that they have asked to be communicated with on. So if we are looking at that in the perspective of the buying journey, what does that do to the trust factor? It not only jeopardizes it, but it kind of throws it into the toilet, because if those people are reaching out to you and they have no business having your email address, or they're not connected with you on a social media platform, or they somehow got I'll just tell you, the worst offender of text messaging is political people. Like, they get your text number from, I don't know, some magical source. I'm going to say the magical source. they find your number and they constantly text you. And I was like, it's so annoying to the point that if I get another text message from them without my permission, I will never donate again. So think about those decisions that you've made, those hard lines you've created, and do you want people creating those hard lines about your business? Probably not. So with trust being at an all-time low, people being constantly bombarded, they're already busy. The people in organizations, if you're working, if you're a company that works with B2B, the people that are making the decisions are likely not going to be on social media or answering their own emails anyway. So they have gatekeepers for a reason because they know the value of their time. So if you're doing cold outreach and you're trying to get to a decision maker, the likelihood that you're actually going to reach them is probably none. So, and then last but not least, lead acquisition costs as far as ads or buying lists or anything like that are constantly going up because there's more competition, there's more people that want more leads, there's more businesses being started every day, and people think that's the way to grow their business. Of course, using the internet does not have to end with any of these results that we've talked about, but a lot of people aren't doing it right. So let's talk about that. Like, what is the difference between pushing your agenda onto people versus pulling people into your ecosphere? That even feels different when we talk about it, doesn't it? That's because it is very different. When you are pulling people in, you're giving them the opportunity to say, hey, yeah, I want that. I want a little taste of that, or I want to see what that's like. Versus, here, buy my crap. Nobody wants that. Number one, they don't want your crap, or if they do, they might not be ready to buy it. And two, that just feels gross. So let's not do that anymore. The first step in initiating a conversation and to start to build trust and start to build a relationship with someone you don't know is your lead magnet. It's your opportunity to shine your light, have your best first impression ever, and get them a little bit closer to what they want, which is solving their problem. If yours isn't doing that, you got problems. You got big problems. So that's why it's so important that we get this right. If you are currently hanging your head in shame, or you're like, oh crap, that's me, let's just set that aside because that was the past you. And now we're going to work on the future you, because there are ways to fix this. There are resources inside this episode that are going to help you fix it. And we are just going to jump in. So let's look at some reasons just off the top that people would not be opting into your lead magnet, or just lead magnets in general. And a lot of times people are cautious about opting in for one reason. It's just one reason. They've been burned before. They've given out their email address. They were promised something. They never got it. Or what they got wasn't what they were promised, or they just got bombarded with sales emails. And so that's why people's trust is at an all-time low, because they've been burned, and people are more cautious when they've been burned. If you've been burned before, you're like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do that again. So we have to work twice as hard to show them we're not those people. So if you're with me, I want you to think about, I have questions, I have action questions that I've built into this episode. It's a new format for me, so I'm kind of excited about it. So I'm going to dive into the first question, and I just want to not give you permission, but encourage you that if you are not driving or walking, that you stop this and think about these questions and jot down an answer. If you are out and about and you're listening to the podcast, don't worry about it. You can come back and listen to it anytime you want. But these are meant to be thought-provoking questions that get you thinking about the things you need to monitor and change in your own business. So the first question is, let's think back to the last lead magnet that you downloaded. Like, why did you download it? What was enticing about it? What was of value, or that you had perceived value that was so great that you're like, yeah, I'm going to trade my precious information, my email address, my name, for this. Like, what is it? And just kind of think about that. Think about what made that lead magnet irresistible to you. And let's say, it doesn't have to be in the last 6 months or the last year, but if you are using something that was older than that as your favorite lead magnet, I want you to think about why. Why was that important, and why are you still thinking about it? And what does that make you feel? And so with that in mind, if you are creating a lead magnet, you want to create that same sense of feeling with your people, with your lead magnet. And you want people to get real value out of it. You want people to sign up and feel like, oh, I have got the golden ticket. Because how does that make them want to interact with you in the future? If you're handing them a golden ticket that's like, oh, the answer to my prayers, they are going to be waiting on bated breath for your next email, because you delivered something so awesome and so amazing that you have already started to build the trust journey. If you're sending them something that they're like, yeah, no, this isn't what I wanted. This makes me feel yucky. They promised this something and now I feel ripped off. Totally different ball game. You get the feeling there. Do you get like the complete difference? And that's what people try to do. More often than not, I see people, this is where they struggle with their lead magnet. That's why I'm spending so much time trying to get you guys to jump into the gear here, is they just slap something out there that took them 5 minutes to put together. There's no real value in it. And then people download it and they feel ripped off. And just put yourself in their shoes and think about how it would make you feel. That's going to take you light years ahead of people that are not doing this correctly. Okay, so I want to I have 5 areas that could be issues with your lead magnet not giving value to your ideal clients. Number 1, you're creating something that you want or that you think they want instead of actually figuring out what people want. And that is detrimental, because just because you think they want something, or I see this, let me put this a different way. I see this so often, especially with business owners who aren't really tuned into their ideal clients. They create something because they need it. The people that they want to work with, they need this thing. The problem is those people that you think need the thing that you're creating don't know they need it. So why are they going to download something they don't need, or they don't think they need, or they're not to the awareness that they need that? And so we're going to go through some examples in a couple of minutes, but stop creating things that you think people need and actually just create something that people have asked for. It's so much easier. And then you don't have to go, oh, is it going to work? Because you already know it's going to work because they asked for it. Number 1 thing you can do to improve your lead magnet, start creating something that people actually want. Number 2, stop talking to everyone. Marie Forleo, one of my favorite quotes from Marie Forleo is and always will be, when you talk to everyone, you're talking to no one. Especially in the world we live in now. We are in a very saturated market. Platforms are getting more and more crowded, and the algorithm is controlling who sees your things. Less and less people will be seeing what you say and what you want, which is another reason to grow your email list. But if you are talking to everyone, they're going to go, nope, that's not me. And they're going to move on. Whereas if you are really specific about who you're talking to and the problem you solve for them, their little ears are going to perk up and they're going to pay attention. Number 3, people don't see the value in what you're giving them. It's either really complicated, they don't think they need it, or it takes too much brain power for them to get value out of what you've created. And I have an example in just a minute specifically. So stick with me. Example for that one is coming. This is a doozy too. And I see this a lot. People that create lead magnets that don't align with what they sell. I see this so often. Go look at LinkedIn and you'll see, I'm just going to say on LinkedIn, you'll see people that are promoting like the top 2025 tech tips for entrepreneurs. And then you go and you realize that they don't do anything with tech. Like their business has nothing to do with tech. And you're like, wait a minute. And they're trying to sell you into coaching but they don't use tech. Tech has nothing to do with their coaching. So anyway, don't disconnect your lead magnet from what you're selling. They should align together. That's a whole nother conversation. And then speaking of tech, the last one that I came up with is that your tech is broken. They sign up for your lead magnet. They either don't get an email. They don't know if their form went because they haven't been redirected to somewhere that says, hey, we got your form. Stuff's coming. Look here. Or they try to download whatever it is you've given them and the file's not set up right. So a lot of this just comes from not setting up your systems, your tech systems, and testing them. So let's dive into an example. I promise you an example. So I have had multiple clients that this is, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but I've had multiple clients who one of the first things that we look at is their lead magnet. And the first question that I usually ask them is, hey, how many leads are you generating that have turned into clients from this lead magnet? Let me repeat that. How many leads have you generated with this lead magnet that have turned into clients? And usually it's the deer in the headlight face, like, oh, wait, what? There's supposed to be clients that come from this or leads? So there's one of two reactions. One, there's no leads being generated or they're not being tracked, or those leads have never been nurtured, communicated with, or effectively sold to. And so they have never turned into clients. And you can see what's wrong here, right? You're investing time, energy, and all of these resources to create this lead magnet that's supposed to bring you leads. And then nobody is checking to see if that's working. So anyway, I have a client currently that has a lead magnet. And this specifically goes back to number 3 on our list, which is creating a lead magnet offer that people are not finding the value in, or they're not ready to find the value in it. So it actually applies to a couple of these. And this client specifically has a quiz that they created, and there's nothing wrong with the quiz. However, the quiz is something that has been utilized by their business for people who already know them, who they have had many conversations with, and that can get feedback about this quiz from people in their organization. So it takes some deciphering is the point. And so they've created this resource that is fantastic for people that are already working with them or who know who they are. But for somebody that's just coming off the street, it's very complicated. It takes a lot of brain power to, 1, go through the quiz, 2, get the result, and 3, understand what it means in solving the problem that I currently have. And so if you are creating a lead magnet that uses that much brain power to decipher, people are either they're going to sign up for it and be disappointed because it's not what they wanted, or 2, they're not going to sign up for it because it's too complicated and they don't have the time, energy, or willpower to get through it and get to the end result. So we have to think about our brain. Innately, our brain has one function. It's to keep us alive. Everything we do outside of that costs energy. And so when we are busy, when we are overwhelmed, and this is everyone, we are being bombarded every single day by ads, by social media, by texts, by phone calls, by business obligations, by the news, by media, all of these things, those all take energy. So if we are wanting someone to expend energy to download our free lead magnet, it better be worth it to them. Because if it's not, they're out the door. So when we are coming into the creation of our lead magnet, we need to keep this in mind. We need to keep in mind that we are creating something that is going to immediately create value and also makes it easy for people to say, yeah, I want to sign up for that. One of the first steps to growing profit in your business is building trust with people that don't know you yet. As we talked about so many times on this podcast, people don't buy from people they don't know. So how do you build trust with them? Well, the easiest way to do that is by getting them on your email list and staying in front of them so they remember who you are. However, growing your email list isn't as easy as it used to be. which is the exact reason I created a free secret podcast for you to create an irresistible lead magnet. Because the days of sign up for my newsletter or get our insights simply don't work anymore. People are on to the shtick. They don't want to be flooded with emails that don't offer any value. So by taking the time to go through the irresistible lead magnet training, you are going to get the step-by-step plan to create a lead magnet that people actually want and that they will exchange their email address to get, so that you're adding to your list, and then you have the opportunity to show up, provide value, and gain their trust. Once you do this, they are much more likely to not only buy, but tell others about you, about the lead magnet, about your business, and about whatever it is they purchase from you. So if you're ready to get started on that irresistible lead magnet training and get access to the 5 specific step plan, as well as the guide to accompany that audio training, you can grab it today at profitgrowthclub.com/secret podcast. Go grab your copy, get started, dive in and do the entire training at one time, or split it up over time. The lessons are broken up so that you can go through 10 minutes at a time, or you can binge the entire thing and get it all done. I want to hear from you how your lead magnet turns out and what you created. So once you've gone through the training, send me a message over on Instagram or LinkedIn and let me know how the training went. Again, grab your access to the secret podcast at profitgrowthclub.com/secret podcast and get started on that irresistible lead magnet now so that you can dive head into next year with a new plan of action to grow your email list, grow your profit, and grow your business. So I thought back to one of my favorite lead magnets I've ever opted into. And I did the same thing. I questioned myself. I was like, why did I like that so much? And why did it work for me? And so I thought I'd give you an example of one that worked really well and why it worked well and how you can mimic or replicate it. So I signed up for, and it's been a little while now, probably within the last year though. I signed up for a lead magnet that was it was like video editing checklist, like all the things you needed to do to edit your videos for YouTube and other platforms in a quick, efficient manner. And it literally was a checklist. However, what these people did to go along with the checklist was create different little short videos in their email series to tell you how to do this. Now, why this was so effective is that the checklist is something you're going to print off and use again and again and again. In fact, they even did it in an electronic format so that you can just replicate it every time you're doing a video and just keep utilizing it as a template. And so that's super nice because you can just replicate it, use it for say this episode, do your little check marks, and you're on your way. But what's even more important is that they painted a picture of with this checklist, which is not short. It's probably 5 pages long, of the massive amount of time, energy, and skill it takes to edit your own videos. And so you're not walking in blindly. You're like, I got this kick-ass checklist. But the problem is this is going to take me so long to do all of this because I'm not good at video editing. There were things in there that you're like, oh, geez, Louise, I forgot about these things. And then you start thinking about all the ones that you didn't do that for. And do I need to go back? And it goes down this rabbit hole. They created this beautiful picture of okay, here's the checklist. Good luck, little bunnies. Go ahead and edit your own videos. And they weren't skimpy about creating the checklist. Like I said, it was 4 or 5 pages. And so what they did was very smoothly transition to, oh yeah, here's the checklist. But by the way, this is going to take you forever and a day to figure this out because video editing is not for the weak at heart. And if you want really good videos that people are actually going to want to watch, that they are going to spend more than 10 seconds looking at, and that are actually going to drive traffic to all of your other marketing, that takes even more skill. So they painted this picture and it has people going, oh, that's what I was not aware of. I thought I could just go ahead and do all my own video editing. So at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, you can do that, but it's going to take you 1 hour to 2 hours per video, especially if you don't have the video editing skills and you're trying to build those up at the same time. Guess what they sell? Video editing. Brilliant, right? So they have created the checklist, gave it to you for free. You looked at it immediately, were overwhelmed, sent you little videos that said, hey, by the way, this part, don't forget about this, and this is the resource we use for that. All along the way, going, by the way, you probably don't want to do this yourself because we can cut your workflow in half by this amount, and it's going to save you this much money. So at the end of the day, brilliant lead magnet. You can do that too. It just takes some time to think through what that is. And now, mind you, it meets all the criteria. It gives them something that people actually want. It builds the necessity and intrigue around the problem that most people are having. It's not the checklist. It's that they don't know how to edit their videos correctly. And it sells their service without being pushy. Like, hey, by the way, we do this. So if you don't want to do it yourself, here we are. It's going to save you time and money. When you look at your lead magnet, what's the smallest actionable piece of what you do that will create value for your ideal clients? What's something that you can give to them and say, hey, take this, go try it out, try it on, and let us know how it goes so that they can have a small win. Let's look back at the video. Small win. I can go through this checklist. I can edit my own videos. How are you going to create that urgency in your own business? You're going to create it. It could be a guide. It could be a secret podcast. It could be whatever it is. But at the end of the day, they're going to realize, I don't think I can do this on my own. That is the power of an irresistible lead magnet. That's what you want to create. So think about that. Pause this if you want to. Jot down some ideas and think about how you're going to integrate that into your own business. So the third area that I wanted to talk about on today's show is how email marketing, which is the purpose of your lead generator, works versus one-to-one sales. Most people that are in coaching, consulting, speaking, things like that are very used to having conversations with people, one-to-one conversations, to generate more customers. So why would you use email? Do both. For the love of Pete, do both. I'm not saying you should replace your one-to-one conversations with email. It's just an added benefit to those conversations you're already having. What it does is it generates new leads for you to have the conversations. That's the whole point of email marketing, is to generate enough people that are interested in who you are, what you do, and you have taken the time to build a relationship with, that they then want to have a one-to-one conversation with you. It's like meeting an old friend for coffee after texting, back and forth. Those one-to-one conversations are super powerful. However, there's only so many referrals and people that you can get in front of as a person, as one single person, to grow and scale your business. So the benefit of an irresistible lead magnet is it empowers you to have more conversations without you being in the room, to get people to the point where they actually want to have a one-on-one conversation with you or sign up for a lower price ticket offer to start doing business with you. So what I normally find is that people that aren't utilizing email marketing or inbound marketing, which is versus pushing your stuff out, we're talking about bringing people into your ecosphere to learn about you, is that they are running into particular problems. One is they can't scale their business beyond themselves. So I don't think there's ever a time in your business that's too early to start email marketing. Because even if you're not generating sales immediately from your email marketing, you're starting to build the relationship. And so even if you're not ready to scale, someday you will be, and you're going to have to scale beyond yourself. A lot of people start their businesses and keep them that way doing one-to-one sales. There's nothing wrong with that, but let's get you in the habit and lay the foundation so that at some point you can scale beyond yourself. Because if you don't, you're going to run out of hours in the day. You're going to get frustrated because you are stuck in an income bracket that you can't go beyond. And 3, you're going to make yourself crazy. Because when you work that much, there's no downtime. You're always thinking about work. And it's super stressful because you're the only person bringing in money. So when you have the flexibility to get in front of more people, sell more things, you have the flexibility to bring people on to help you. Those are the reasons to start creating that lead magnet and generating more leads without you having to be front and center to do that lead generation. Now, whether you are in the position where you want to scale your business and you can't, or you don't know how, you are working 19 hours a day and sleeping 3. It's like you need to somehow, get your life back from your business, or in 5 years, you want to leave your business, you want to sell it, or you want to just become an advisor or whatever it is. So you are transitioning a lot of your time out of the business. Pay attention. Like, these are things that we need to start implementing now so that you can reach those goals. So regardless of where you are on this journey, whether you're a newer business owner and you're just wanting to scale your time and scale your influence and get more people in your funnel, or you have a pretty good funnel built up of referrals and people you already know, regardless of what your situation is and which of those things you want to work on now or in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, every activity you spend time on in your business is costing you money. I have some more questions for you, and then we're going to do a little bit of math. Now, I am a marketing person, don't love math, but math, everything to do with business and marketing comes down to numbers, everything. So we don't have time for a numbers, like in-depth numbers conversation right now, but it all comes down to the numbers. So keep that in mind while you answer this question. How many hours are you spending right now on generating new leads? How many is that per day, per week, per month? And if your answer is none, and then you're like, I don't have any new customers, then you have your answer. Because if you're not spending time generating new leads, you don't have anybody in your funnel to sell to. So, or if you're spending a lot of time generating leads and you're running out of time to deliver your work, look at hiring somebody, all of the things that go into a business, then you may be thinking, how am I going to generate more leads without me being the front and center of that activity? Stick with me. So let's do a little bit of math. Because even though I'm not a mathlete, I can make math work. So let's say you spend 5 hours a week and to do lead generation, and you're connecting to roughly 100 people. Let's just say you're reaching out and connecting with people on LinkedIn, and you're wanting to have conversations, and you're getting on Zoom calls, or you're meeting up for coffee or whatever. We're just going to round it to you're spending 5 hours a week doing those activities. And you connect with about 100 people. The average conversion rate for cold leads, which those are people you do not know unless you start to build that relationship in person, whatever it is, we're going to stick with they don't know you, is around 3%. So roughly 3 people. If you reach out to 100 people, you might have 3 people that connect with you. So let's use LinkedIn as an example. You send out 100 connection requests. 3 people, let's say 10 people, accept them. And you're able to get a response back and forth out of 3 people. There's your conversion rate. Okay? So let's talk about this if you had an irresistible lead magnet. What if you could connect with those same 100 people, but they've been on your email list and you gave them a really awesome freebie and you've been emailing them on a regular basis and you're building connection. And then you put an offer out there. On average, that offer will convert at 20%. Not 3%, 20%, because you've taken the time to build a relationship. So let's just break it down to dollars. Okay, so if your hourly rate is $300 an hour and you converted 3 people off of LinkedIn, after all those people that you've connected with, your 3%, you connect with these 3 people, they turn into customers, your revenue is $900. But then we have to deduct the amount of time that you spent on getting those leads, because every action in your business costs money. So you spent 5 hours to get those 3 people, times $300 is $1,500. So that $900 you just made put you in the hole for $600. If you need a little bit more math, head over to YouTube, because I'm going to put a slide in here with the math so you guys can see it. And you're not trying to listen and understand the math, but roughly 3 clients at $300 is $900, but it cost you $1,500 in time to get those 3 people to convert. So you're in the negative, okay? Versus $300 an hour times 20 people that converted, that's $6,000 minus your investment, the same investment at $1,500, your profit is $4,500, which is why the conversion rate for email is 420%. Because when you take the time to do it right, people become customers. And not only do they become customers for one offer, they normally stay customers for even longer. So they have a higher lifetime customer value. Not going to dive into that right now, but that is the power of an irresistible lead magnet, because you've put them on your list with less effort and really good email marketing. So pause the video or the audio when you have a minute and do your own math. Like maybe your hourly rate isn't $300, or maybe you're spending more time generating in-person time generating leads, getting on a plane, speaking in front of people, creating the speech, all of those activities. Like, do your own math. Math is so powerful, especially when it comes to your business and marketing, because the math and the numbers don't lie. They tell you where you're spending your time. They tell you whether you're getting a return on investment for that time. And if you're not, then it's time to pivot. Don't beat yourself up. Don't go in the corner and cry. There is no point. It's just time to pivot. So when we're looking at those numbers, when you're doing the math, I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. What is it costing you in both time and money with cold outreach to acquire just one client? Or even if it's not cold, what's it costing you? If you're going to speak in front of a group of people, and let's say there's 100 people in the audience and you get to have 3 conversations, that's about 3%. That's what we talked about. 3 people back of the room, even if you get them signed up as clients. What about the other 97 people? Because 97% of people will not take an action in the first time they meet you. It takes 7, 8, 10, I think it's up to 10 times for somebody to get in, have an interaction with your brand before they even pay attention to you. So if you're going and you're going to speak in front of a group, this is what a lot of coaches and consultants, they do speaking as well as to grow their coaching business, which is awesome. Like, you're in front of all these people, but they're leaving so much money on the table because they're having 3 conversations at the back of the room. In the meantime, there's 97 people in the audience that have now seen 8, 9, 10 people speak that day. They don't remember who you are, what your name is, or what you talked about in an hour, because they're already on the next thing. But you have the power with your lead magnet to keep them engaged. And that's where people are dropping the ball. That's why I want you to pay attention, because that other 97%, if they converted at 20%, that's a lot of math. It's around 20 more people. So you just went from 2 to 3 people to 20 people. What does that do to your revenue? And the last question I have for you to wrap up this section is it sustainable for you to keep doing what you're doing to grow your business, scale your business, and remain mentally, physically, and even spiritually whole? Like, do you have it within you to keep at this pace and still be sane? Okay. So this isn't just about saving you time and growing your money. It's like we go into owning our own business and entrepreneurship for time freedom. Yet what I see is there's so many businesses that have zero, they're working 10 times harder than they did in a job. That's not how it was meant to be. So, okay. We have one more section and we're going to wrap it up. This is a long episode, but I'm really hoping you guys are sticking with me because it's super valuable. And if you put this stuff into action, it's going to make a difference. By the way, if you haven't grabbed that free secret podcast to walk you through how to set this up, go grab it. It's profitgrowthclub.com/podcast. So the last key point is the biggest mistakes that I see people make with their lead magnets. And this goes beyond creating the lead magnet. It's more what happens on the back end, like people have opted in with their lead magnet, and this is where things go astray. So, number one, they try to rush the relationship. So a lot of times, I see this a lot of times, people will send their lead magnet in an email as a link, as a download or whatever, and right below the lead magnet, they're like, hey, buy my stuff. Too soon. They don't even know you yet. They haven't even had time to open the link and you're already trying to sell them. Think about the way that you purchase things. And everybody has a different purchasing journey. If I were to say to you, Sally, how are you going to buy a TV? And I go to Frank and ask him how he's going to buy a TV. Sally's going to ask her friends. I'm just, as an example, ask her friends, ask people that she works out with at the gym. She's going to ask her coworkers. She's going to go online. She's going to go into a few Facebook groups and she's going to get opinions. And then she's probably going to open Google and do a little bit of research. In the meantime, Frank over here is going to go to the store and he's going to look at every button on every television and see like what does what. And then he's going to go home and try to figure out like what do all these things mean. And then he's going to make a flow chart. And you get the idea. Totally different buying experience. Yet you're asking someone, hey, open this email, buy my crap. You don't even know what their journey is. You don't know if they're ready to buy. You don't know what they want to buy, what problem they're trying to solve. And you're trying to sell them something. It doesn't work that way. It's like going to the mall and those people with the lotion. You know who I mean? The lotion pushers. The lotion pushers want to shove their lotion in your hand and you're like, don't touch me. I don't want your lotion. Don't be a lotion pusher in your marketing. Just don't do it. Please don't do it. So that's the second thing is we have to recognize where people are coming from and where they're at in the buying journey. The third thing is we don't want to create something that's so automated that it feels automated. People are craving connection. They're craving conversation, especially now because the world has become so digital, and with AI, it's even more so. People want to have conversations. And so if you can make your email feel like a warm hug when they open it, the power is yours. Like people will look for those emails. They will want to open them and read them. But if it feels like Sam, the car salesman, every time they get an email from you, they are going to unsubscribe, delete, and throw you in the garbage and block you because they don't want that stuff. And to rebuild that reputation for your email is not an easy thing to do. So here's what you can do instead. Create authenticity and put your personality into not only your lead magnet, your social media posts, your email marketing, everything you do needs to feel like it comes from a person. I don't care if you have 50, 100, 200, 250 people in your organization. Make it feel like it's a one-on-one conversation. Because when you do that, people pay attention. Not everybody can do it. When you can, you will get more business, period. Number 2, get to know your audience and deliver information and resources to them based on their preferences. So if Frank's preferences for a TV are to know every detail about every TV on the market, and you can give him a guide that compares all of those different features, Frank is going to love you. Whereas Sally, you can tell Sally like all the ways that this TV is going to improve her relationships and, compare the reviews of all of the different TVs so that she can read about it and see like if she can relate to some of the people that have the reviews and tell their stories. That's a totally different situation. Now, if Sally needs a TV because it's broken right now, she's in a totally different situation than Frank, who's going to be shopping for a TV for 6 months. That's a much easier way to delineate between those two people and their buyer's journey. So figure out where they are. And there's ways to do this. You just have to take the time to get to know your people. Last is use technology for Lastly, make technology a tool, not a crutch. In other words, you want technology to make your job easier, but you also want to maintain the personalization when you are creating automation. You want people to feel like they're the only one in the room. And that doesn't come with the first rendition of things a lot of times. It means you have to edit and you have to test and you have to go about learning about your people in a with curiosity. Because when you're curious about someone, you're more interested in what they're going through, what their problem is, and how you can help them specifically, just as if you were having a one-on-one conversation with them. Not every coaching or consulting client that comes to you is going to have the same problems. It's going to take back and forth conversation. When you can create that in your marketing, you hold the power. You will stand out. You will become the brand that they remember, they recognize, and they refer. So look through your inbox. This is your last question. And think about which emails you open. Always. That you look at them and you're like, oh, yeah, I got an email from so-and-so. It's so awesome. I'm so excited to hear it. And you open it and you read it and you feel good and you're like, oh, that was great. Why? Why do you open it? Why do you open their email over all the other ones? And how do you create that feeling, that same feeling, for the people that open your emails? So to wrap up this week's episode, there's a lot in here. We went through a lot of stuff. All the show notes will be over at profitgrowthclub.com/podcast. So if you missed anything, head over there, get the show notes. But I want to leave you with a few more questions. And that is specifically around your lead magnet strategy. Like, where are you at now? What's working? What's not working? How do you know? How do you know what's working or not working? How are you measuring it? How can you start measuring it if you're not? Because we're not going backwards, we're only going forwards. And what is it going to take for you to build genuine connection and create long-term relationships with those people that are already on your list or new ones coming in? What's it going to take? What are you going to do? What skin are you going to put in the game to make that happen? And last but not least, what is your priority going to be to bring in this new sector of leads versus one-to-one conversations? What's the priority going to be, and how are you going to create a different system for communicating with them? And I just want to remind you, like, we live in a really noisy world, and right now it's particularly noisy. If you're listening to this in real time, it's February 2025. There's a lot going on in the world. And even if you're sort of checked out, you can't completely check out from the daily dose of chaos that's happening. And that's on purpose. But what it should do is incentivize you to connect with other people and come up with ways that you can create that connection and to let people know they're not alone and that there are people listening and there are people that want to help. and that you're one of those people. Like, you truly care about them and their business and what's going on in their life. And here's some ways that we can come together instead of drifting apart. That world of connection and true conversation is what is going to differentiate people from success and not being successful in the future. And it's already happening. It's not even in the future. It's happening now. The people that, it's like gravitational pull. The people who are putting that light out there are pulling more people to them because people are looking for that. So if you can be that differentiator in your industry and in what you do for your specific ideal clients, you're going to stand out. Because most people are just trying to push an agenda. But when you actually openly care and you want to have conversations and you want to help people, and most people that go into specifically coaching and consulting, they do want to help people. But they're just not always creating those genuine conversations when it comes to their marketing. So I'm hoping that this episode has turned on some light bulbs for you and opened some new doors and had you thinking about things in a new way. If you've enjoyed the episode, I would love for you to leave me a review on any of your favorite platforms, or share it with a friend, because a lot of times people need to hear this and they don't see it, and it really helps the show grow. So if you haven't grabbed the free training, go grab it. It walks you through the step-by-step process on how to create an irresistible lead magnet. It's an accompaniment to this episode. And I really think it's going to help you dive into some of the things that we talked about today even deeper. So in the meantime, be well, take care. Happy Valentine's Day. This is going out on Valentine's Day, and I look forward to talking to you next week. One of the first steps to growing profit in your business is building trust with people that don't know you yet. As we talked about so many times on this podcast, people don't buy from people they don't know. So how do you build trust with them? Well, the easiest way to do that is by getting them on your email list and staying in front of them so they remember who you are. However, growing your email list isn't as easy as it used to be, which is the exact reason I created a free secret podcast for you to create an irresistible lead magnet. Because the days of sign up for my newsletter or get our insights simply don't work anymore. People are on to the shtick. They don't want to be flooded with emails that don't offer any value. So by taking the time to go through the irresistible lead magnet training, you are going to get the step-by-step plan to create a lead magnet that people actually want and that they will exchange their email address to get, so that you're adding to your list, and then you have the opportunity to show up, provide value, and gain their trust. Once you do this, they are much more likely to not only buy, but tell others about you, about the lead magnet, about your business, and about whatever it is they purchase from you. So if you're ready to get started on that irresistible lead magnet training and get access to the 5 specific step plan, as well as the guide to accompany that audio training, you can grab it today at profitgrowthclub.com/secret podcast. Go grab your copy, get started, dive in and do the entire training at one time, or split it up over time. The lessons are broken up so that you can go through 10 minutes at a time, or you can binge the entire thing and get it all done. I want to hear from you how your lead magnet turns out and what you created. So once you've gone through the training, send me a message over on Instagram or LinkedIn and let me know how the training went. Again, grab your access to the secret podcast at profitgrowthclub.com/secret podcast and get started on that irresistible lead magnet now so that you can dive head into next year with a new plan of action to grow your email list, grow your profit, and grow your business. Did you miss something in the show today? Maybe you didn't have time to take notes, or you're listening on the go. Don't worry, I've taken the notes for you. Head on over to profitgrowthclub.com/podcast. You can find the notes and all of the links for this episode and every episode. In the meantime, take care, stay well, and I'll see you soon.